welcome to episode 8.
Yes, well, episode 8, but actually probably episode 11 at the minute.
Or more,
because
maybe.
we have been on a bit of a road trip and we've had a bit of a Senjutsu
Yep.
diversionary period.
Yes, I would say that is fair. So, as you probably see if you look down on the channel, all our different episodes and stuff, there's lots of little first impressions of Senjutsu tracks. Clips from us seeing Blaze Bailey last weekend, which was awesome. Blaze Bailey and Absolva
kicked ass.
Absolutely. So, hi to any of the guys if they're watching,
or anybody that was at the gig.
Yep, it was a great night, great way to spend a real Maiden weekend.
It was fabulous. It was probably the most Maiden weekend we've had in the 21st century.
Absolutely.
Apart from Metal 2000.
Yeah, that was
the
cool.
most Maiden weekend.
But that is for another episode.
Oh yeah, that is. Yeah.
But it was great. Senjutsu released on a Friday, Blaze Bailey and Absolva gig,
and the Stratego video,
Saturday. And the Stratego video then that dropped, which was odd but great.
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, really, really cool. And that's a track that's really grown on.
Oh, aye, both of us, I think, yeah.
Yeah, you think so as well?
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially in an album context.
Yeah, really, yeah, Well, we want to keep our powder dry.
Yeah. We haven't done
a very busy week.
Very busy. You're listening to Senjutsu a lot, and
we know you are too. So
yeah. We are keeping a review. We're not going to do a full review of Senjutsu for quite some time.
Yeah, we're going to keep it chronological, and we're going to have that where we are fully in the honeymoon period at the minute.
Yeah,
as I'm sure you all are.
It's good to get a bit of distance. We felt from the album to give we want to give it a true reflection of our feelings.
Yeah, you want to ruminate on it and its finer points, and my God, there's some fine points.
There is, but we will come to that. Speaking of chronology, Chris,
yes, we
are at Live After Death on our album journey today. So today is a Live After Death episode.
Yeah, it is Live After Death, probably the greatest of greatest hits.
Yeah, it is a spectacular set. Obviously, it was taken from the World Slavery Tour. If you want to watch our episode on Power Slave, it's there. This was released in 1985.
Yep, it was indeed.
14th of October, 1985.
Yep, on, was it double vinyl? 4 sides?
4 sides of a vinyl.
Double tape,
which Chris has dug out his tapes there, which is really, really cool.
And I broke it, but don't tell anyone.
And it was recorded in March 1985 between 14th and 17th. Most of it. So sides 1 to 3, which are from Long Beach, California. And side 4 is then from Hammersmith Odeon, which was recorded in October, 8th, between the 8th and the 12th.
Yeah.
First thing I'd say about that is it sounds, sound quality wise, guitar tones wise, remarkably consistent. You would think it was the same show. Yeah,
it is testament, I think, to the live recording system that they had. I don't know exactly what it was.
It's testament to the great...
the power of the band, obviously.
And the power of the Birch.
Yeah, the power of the Birch.
The great Martin Birch, who sadly we lost last year, but that's something that always came across to me was you would not know that was from a different show.
Yeah, well, that's why I sort of say as well, saying that this is kind of the greatest of greatest hits, because it's nearly like, like Rod Smallwood has said, you do your 4 or 5 albums and then you have your live album. That's what bands did.
Yeah.
You know, traditionally, like I was trying to liken it to other live albums from the past that I would really have a thing for. The only one I can liken it to, and it's better than it, in my opinion, is the Who Live at Leeds.
Okay.
Which is probably in the 70s, even it was recorded in 1970, but it was that decade's sort of live album. It was the one that everybody sort of goes back to and says it was. And it's a fantastic recording.
It's a fantastic recording, yeah.
But now we're in the 80s. We've got a totally different idea, totally different band as well, obviously, different style of music. But it is fantastic. Now I have to say, there's a few little things about the recording of it that I don't know if you know about. Things that are slightly controversial.
Enlighten me.
Now, doing my research for this this particular episode, I came across a few things which I can't really support with evidence, but I heard.
Okay.
So, and I tried to find this, but apparently there's an interview with Bruce that he did in the 90s that said that some of the takes of the tracks were Adrian re-recorded the guitar on. Apparently the guitar was out of tune on a few of the tracks.
Right.
And apparently they went to a studio in LA to record it. Now, that could be baloney, but...
So, you haven't actually seen the interview?
No.
Okay.
No. But I've doing my research and reading around it and things like that. I just thought it was quite interesting because it is phenomenally well recorded.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just one of those wee sort of nuggets that I thought to myself, might be worth sort of investigating further. You would maybe know better than
if
I
anyone's heard anything about that, I don't know. I would I hadn't heard that.
No, I couldn't believe it when I heard it. I sort of don't believe it, but I'm just putting it out there, you know, putting it out there first.
Guys, as we said before, me and Chris don't, rightly or wrongly, we don't discuss what each of us has discovered during the week. So it's kind of, that's news to me.
And there's a big discovery coming up, which I can see here, and I can't believe I could, but we're going to show you. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Later.
Counter what you were saying there. Just I have a quote from Steve Harris, saying that about the recording of the album, that even if they'd had the time, they wouldn't have added any studio overdubbing to this because, quote, this is from Mick Wall's Run to the Hills. We were really anti all that anyway. We were very much like, this has got to be totally live, you know? So he's kind of putting the statement out there that this is 100% live. I know on early days, he said he went to the little booth that Martin Birch was in after like the first show they did at Long Beach or something, and, you know, back to have a listen. And he was... You watch it for yourselves. He was like, I couldn't believe how good we sounded. I was like, wow, we really are a good band, you know, so I don't know.
I don't know either. You know, it's just
it's something that you've heard
out there.
There's a rumor out there. Okay, cool, interesting.
But it is interesting because it's not something that I would. It's not something that I would believe Maiden would do anyway.
No,
you know?
it sounds really on Maiden.
Got a few figures for you for the World Slavery Tour, which I found in an old magazine that I had on it, which is really cool.
Okay.
Right, 7,778 hotel rooms.
Wow.
Right. 6,932
Uh-huh.
guitar strings. 3,760 drumsticks.
What?
3,008 guitar picks. 30,000 soft drinks. 6,000 pints of milk. That must be for Nico's bedtime cocoa. 2,500 pints of orange juice.
Good grief.
50,000 quid's worth of beer and food. That's from Tony Wiggins, who was a tour manager.
Good grief.
I thought those figures are class. It's a good thing to start it all off with.
Wow. That's I suppose it's different age. You're not talking about your carbon footprint or anything there.
Balls of Evian there.
No.
Or responsibly sourced salmon or anything.
No.
Salmon paste sandwich on the way out if you're lucky.
189 shows in 331 days. That's the only stat I have.
And now we know that Maiden like the tour. I mean, they do the tour hard, but this is kind of the pinnacle of that, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
absolutely.
This was, I think, the tour that I think Bruce said in many ways it was their greatest, but in some ways it was their worst. I think it was too much, and it's well documented that it was too much for Bruce.
Yeah,
in particular for his mental health, he said that himself.
Yeah,
but. About the recording, Chris, just go back to that a wee bit. So, there's a little bit of ambiguity about, I think, what nights are what.
Oh, yes.
So, just about that.
Yeah.
So, Steve has said that the audio is from one night.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
Which I think is believed to be the fourth night. Maiden haven't said what night it was, but it's believed that it's the fourth night for some reason.
Oh, now I'm getting confused.
Now, the video is definitely from two nights, two different nights. And they are from different nights than the audio.
Yeah. Somebody must have been really working hard on Dave Murray's spandex blue washing.
Gonna come to the close.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, you would be scrubbing those like mad. Wouldn't you? All that spandex.
Duplicates of a bit.
Oh, I know.
They
I know.
probably have.
Just a wee gag on
Or maybe they just slept in it. Maybe they were dirty brutes.
Maiden Hygiene's episode number 12.
I wouldn't like to be.
Oh man,
I'd like to be washing their
right.
smalls
So
back in those
that's
days.
the new racket. Now I had done a wee bit of research on this. I'll tell you what I did actually. I have to give a shout out to the Talking Maiden podcast.
Okay,
because
okay, cool.
I listened to their episode, and it's from a few years back, and one of the presenters, Nisbet, went in and listened to a whole load of bootlegs, and he has pieced together that the album is from actually about, I think it's 3 different nights.
Right, the audio album?
Yeah, the audio album.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Which I thought,
interesting.
obviously, they had a lot more time than we do.
Yeah.
We're only reviewing the album as it is, but I kind of thought that was quite interesting that through the bootlegs, because I think there's bootlegs out there from each night, you're able to piece together certain parts. One thing I'll have to say though is they're tight.
Oh, they're
the reason that they haven't
incredibly tight.
The reason Steve originally wanted to record the whole album in the Hammersmith Odeon, he just didn't feel that the band were as tight as they were come Long Beach.
Right.
There's an interview on YouTube conducted by Mick Wall.
Right.
Yeah, I heard the audio of it and then actually found it on YouTube.
Brilliant.
So him and Dave are on this rock show.
Right.
And Mick Wall's presenting it with this girl.
Cool.
And it basically, Steve says that we wanted to do it there, and that explains, I suppose, the track listing, because the track listing is very much, as I say, the greatest hits near enough of Maiden.
Yeah.
So the first 3 sides are the show that they would have done at Long Beach, and then you probably are going to say about the tracks in side 4 being dropped from the American side of the tour.
No, it wasn't actually.
Oh, well,
yeah.
That's they're the more hardcore fans.
The earlier stuff,
early tour, basically, which gives us a broader picture, really, doesn't it?
Of where, of the band, yeah. Although it's not real. Well,
like
it's Rothschild and Phantom of the Opera earlier stuff, but the other tracks are from Number of the Beast and Peace of Mind.
Oh, well, I know that there, but I mean, like in the bigger tours, and obviously at that stage at Long Beach, they're looking for the American audience. We're talking about like the difference between Flight of Icarus and, you know what I mean, like we've talked about Flight of Icarus being the American single, that type of thing.
This album wouldn't have been the acclaimed hit it was if it wasn't recorded in the States.
Yeah, you think so?
I don't think this would have worked or been as big a deal if it was recorded in the UK.
Okay.
Personally,
yeah,
there's something about it being. I mean, and this is a really well known album in the States as a live album.
Yeah.
Now, it's likely because it was recorded there as part of that.
You think so?
I also just think there's something I think quite dramatic about the start of it, and about it being a British band in the States.
Yeah. And
I know that Maiden are always proud of their British roots, and that's in a musical sense. I don't mean in political sense or anything like that.
The day of Winston Churchill at
the start of it, and they have a big Union flag, or Union Jack, but it's actually called the Union flag. It's Union Jack when it's flying from a naval ship.
There you go.
It's not actually called the Union Jack, but the British flag is flying or is hung up at the back of Long Beach. It's usually a American flag there, but Rod Smallwood said, "Take that down and put a British flag up because that'll be cool." And I think
like a British invasion.
It's like a British invasion type thing, and it's about. I think there's always been a bit of kind of gentle rivalry between American rock bands and British rock bands, and there's a wee bit of a sense of pride and who's better, you know, because there's so much cross influence between the two, and really, not to denigrate any other nation's contribution to rock or metal, but it's America and Britain that have produced most of the big heavy hitters. I think that's fair to say, you know.
Well, I can't argue with that.
Can't argue with that. The bulk of the big
DC notwithstanding, but yeah.
Well, you could class DC as British.
Rock. Well, yeah, I suppose you could.
So they are. Young brothers were born in Scotland.
Right enough.
Only moved when they were 14 or 15, as was Bon. And Brian Johnson is British as, you know, as
corned beef sandwiches.
You know, so they're British Australian. So I know they kind of came up through Australia, but yeah, there's still that kind of a edge to it. So there you go. I just thought it was always a cool dynamic, and there's something about the scale of the tour and the you know, the Big Eddies look so huge.
Yeah,
and all,
I think theatrically this is the show that sort of made them really, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, seeing the tours from before this, they're very good. Obviously, Eddie's developing, but this is the big one. Like
it's the big one.
It's the gangways, the runs, the you know.
Yeah, and some
Bruce can go up here, there. It's what we see now when we go and see them.
I think it's just more fitting, or seems more that it's in LA. Kind of feels right to me. I don't know if it would have had the same.
Yeah, if it was in
panache, if it was in Hammersmith or
Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Likewise, you know, it's got that Stardust element to it. It's big time. Maiden have hit the big time.
Yeah,
and it probably represents where they were at more. They toured America. What? Did not do 2 full circuits of it in this tour.
Yeah,
you know, so it would have been a bit odd for it to have been in London. So
yeah, well, that's it. I just think by that stage they were really cooking. They were hot. They were tight. They were, you know, the confidence was there.
Yeah,
Bruce was on fire. I have to say, this is, Bruce's left arm.
Bruce's left arm. Yeah, I never, you know, I watched it like. Never really thought about that.
It's really at that stage. It's the 6th member of the band, and you know, I just keep that. It's class.
But
it shows you how much, you know, how much Bruce has developed. Bruce, like, he couldn't get a better. Well, we could argue for Freddie Mercury, but that's a different story and a different podcast. But you know, as a frontman, he's incredible.
He's incredible.
And like, you know, when you look back at him, and we have the, you know, we have the mature, you know, ultra pro Bruce now with his flaming hands and flying helmet and waving the flag and stuff. This guy is just on fire.
He's all over the place.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's a wee bit pissed off, but we'll talk about that later on.
Yeah,
he's
a couple of fiery speeches chucked in there.
A couple of fiery moments, indeed.
Yeah.
I think you can hear, just going back to the two sides, 2 different concerts, there is a slight difference, I think, in Bruce's voice. Not anyway, not bad, but I do think there's a wee slight freshness in the Hammersmith, obviously, with not having toured for so long. Not that it doesn't, you know, take away from his performance whatsoever. Yeah, it's legendary.
It's probably it is pretty legendary stuff. And probably for me, written in the stars that it ended up being mostly in LA. The phrase "Scream for Me, Long Beach."
That's it. That's the next thing.
It's again. Would Scream for Me Hammersmith would it have taken off?
Yeah, probably wouldn't have. Yeah,
I don't know. It's odd.
And like Long Beach is, it's not. You know, Scream for Me Los Angeles doesn't sound as good. Doesn't chip off the tongue as well.
It doesn't, does it? It's odd, and it's funny. It's such fine margins. Things like this in popular culture, how a little phrase can just take off. You know, it could be like Arnie's "I'll Be Back" or something. It was the way he said it. I know there's interviews with him explaining about the intonation, about how he said it, and if he had said it slightly differently, it probably wouldn't have worked. Yeah, you know, it's just those little fine things that just make something go viral, as we call it now.
Yeah,
you know?
That's it.
And this is a phrase that did
go viral. Yeah, in the days before viral. But
and it became his catchphrase.
Pretty much. You know? And that's the bit you wait for.
Yeah, yeah. Was it his catchphrase before this tour? Was he using it? And I need to watch. We should watch Peace of Mind and see if he's live and see if he's the World Peace Tour. See if he says "Scream for Me." Then I don't recall him saying it, but maybe he does.
Maybe he does. Yeah, I'm not too sure actually. Let's get a couple of beers and watch that.
Yeah, or the Number of the Beast Tour. I don't know if he said it.
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it from the Samson days?
Is it from the Samson days? Yeah. When, there's a question, if anyone knows, when did Bruce start using Scream for Me? We haven't investigated that.
Or is it the greatest ad-lib in history?
Yeah, is it? So,
we'll go for the tracks first, or we'll go for the video first?
We'll go through the track listing, will we?
Cool, yeah.
Yeah. So, the intro,
Churchill speech.
Yeah. Highly appropriate for Aces High.
Highly appropriate, and also highly appropriate for celebrating the fact that they had a brand new album with the best 1-2 punch that they ever had.
Yeah. It's also kind of it's, I think, a little bit odd listening to Aces High without it.
Without it, yeah, it is.
You know, and whether I assume they came up with the idea of it, you know, after the album. Pre-production for the tour.
Yeah.
It would have been so cool to have been. It feels like it should be on the album. That, you know, but yeah. And also, there's a podcast I heard. Now the guy's name is James Fraser, and he is a guest on the podcast.
Right. I don't know.
This chap is from New Zealand, I believe, and is it Uncle Steve's
right,
Maiden
okay.
podcast? Is it? I hope I'm saying the right podcast. I think it is. It's a good one.
Where's Uncle Steve?
It was a while back. We've had a busy week and I didn't get checking this out, but I heard this 5 or 6 weeks ago. I was listening to it, and he was talking about the Churchill speech.
Yeah.
And he said the interesting thing about that is that Churchill re-recorded it.
Right.
The version that we all know, he says, is a re-recorded version. It's not the version that was put out live on the wireless at the time.
Yeah.
He recorded it to make it a bit more dramatic. So there you go. Any history buffs out there?
And being a history buff myself, that speech is from Dunkirk, not from the Battle of Britain.
Not from the Battle of Britain. There you are. There you are.
There you are. Never in the field of valor has so much been owed to so many. So much been owed to from so many back to so
few.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the Battle of Britain.
But the beaches and stuff, I can see.
Yeah, totally.
Say that,
and in America, you know what I mean? Like, the Americans love Churchill, so that's the other thing too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's
and Churchill loved America.
And well, his mother was American. Well, that's a history lesson for. What's track 2?
Yes. Track 2 is
Aces High.
Aces High after Churchill's speech. Aces High, for me, the thing that really stands out in this is the dive bombs.
I've in my notes. Adrian Smith's whammy bar.
Adrian Smith's whammy bar.
Adrian Smith's whammy bar is the unofficial, after the Bruce's left arm, the 7th member of Maiden in this particular performance.
Class.
It is unbelievable.
Isn't it? He's got real control.
Yeah, he does.
Over those dive bombs, and just it adds so much to this track.
It's, I think. It's amazing. It's like he's flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then 2 minutes to midnight, the riff that, as we said in our Power Slave episode, only Adrian can chug that riff out that way.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
And then it's like a 1-2-3 punch.
Yeah. Well, it's like a 13 punch. Really, but yeah. The Trooper.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Blow the head clean off you.
Yeah.
If you were there.
And they're just I think it comes across to me.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it's just how effortless it looks, or sounds, I should be saying, because we'll talk about the video.
Yeah.
Bruce's
vocal improvisations in this are great as well.
Yeah, Yeah, he does a lot of fills almost with his voice. You know,
and I think it's maybe times. Nerves. I think possibly. I'm not sure. You're being recording
almost over singing it at times. You know.
No, that's not to no detriment to the performance or him, because it is so cool.
It's where they're at. They're on autopilot. Actually, probably just singing the songs, running through the songs. It seems like it's
muscle memory. It's
muscle memory. It's so like you're not even thinking about it. So they're not. You look at Nico; he's not even thinking about it.
Yeah,
like he's just you know,
he's
just doing it. And it's just, I guess, if you're doing 189 shows in less than a year, in 11 months.
Yeah, 11 months. Yeah.
You're of course you've got muscle memory. Yeah, awesome. So they're just flying through the tracks. Revelations sounds Damon.
Oh, the lead in the Tripper, I think's incredible.
Yeah,
the twin lead on it, sounds so good. Really, really good. Revelations, one of my favorites, as you know if you've watched. His vocal improvisations in there fantabulous. Not even a word.
Yeah,
fabulous.
And I suppose we'll mention his guitar when we talk about the video.
A wee bit about Rock and Rio too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Flight of Icarus.
Yep.
I think it's a great track.
Yep.
For me, then here comes the best song on the.
Yep. The best use of Dry Ice.
Yes, ever.
Ever.
In the history of Dry Ice, and that's really saying something.
And the best introduction to a song of such magnitude.
Yeah.
The best humorous introduction to, you know.
And we're talking about the introduction in the audio, because the introduction in the video is longer.
That's right.
Yeah. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, the intro.
Yeah.
This is what not to do.
All good.
If your bird...
Not your bird, a bird.
Your
bird's different.
I'll be very different. It does a whoopsie on you. So, I think this track just sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, I can nearly be my favourite track on
it. It's my favourite track on it.
Yeah.
For them to play,
is it your favourite track on it?
On this here?
Yeah.
Oh, by far.
Aye, it's mine too.
For them to play this song live is silly. For them to play it as if
it's on the LP, I think.
As if it's just
so perfect.
Yeah, it's flawless, like, and to get the intricacy
when it comes back in.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the intricacy of the mellow bit and the volume swells.
Yeah, the volume swells. Yeah,
you're talking about the Dry Ice and stuff. It's just sounds so effing good.
Could you find a band more on it?
More on it? No. Well, funny you mentioned Freddie Mercury. My other favourite live album is Queen Live Killers of all time.
Too, yeah.
Which is just a band.
It's not one gig though.
Queen Live Killers?
Is it not different performances in different places?
I think it's one gig.
Is it?
I need to check. And
right. That's for an hour day.
I've been listening to that album since I was 9 or something like that. And I just love it.
It's really good, actually.
But the performances are so tight.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of caliber you're talking about as a band. They're so on it.
Oh, aye, they really are.
They're so on it. And to take this song and to say we're going to do it live, to do it justice.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of bands would go, well, how are we going to do that middle bit? How are we going to...
Yeah.
Not Maiden. They're just effortless. They're
absolutely.
just got it.
It is just faultless.
You know?
It really is.
Which is why I suppose they're able to make these albums in such a short space of time.
Yeah.
Because musicianship is just there.
Yeah.
It's so good. There's no...
The talent. Yeah.
Yeah, there is no manipulation or, huge amounts of overdubs or anything. They've just got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome song. Followed by another awesome song, Power Slave.
Yeah, love it too. Absolutely
love
brilliant.
It too. I suppose there's a lot of visual goes on in the video. We could talk about with that. And then Number of the Beast.
Which is all right. I'm only messing. How
which is really chunky.
I think you're right. It's a 13. It's an 18 punch. You're right.
Yeah. There's not a bad track on this.
No, there's not.
So there's not. And actually, well, I suppose we'll just finish off the track listing. It's Number of the Beast.
Yeah.
Hallowed Be Thy Name.
Yeah.
Iron Maiden, Run to the Hills.
Not Killers, Killer.
You mean as in a compliment of the song. Run to the Hills, Running Free.
Which I love. Left side, right side. Yeah. It's Potter's good. Like, it is good.
Getting the crowd going to the left, the crowd going to the right. Yeah, it's so they extend Running Free to over 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Then side 4, which is the Hammersmith gig, which is Wrathchild, 22 Acacia Avenue, Children of the Damned, Die With Your Boots On.
Which is a brilliant song.
And an absolutely pummeling version of Phantom of the Opera.
I have to say, it was the first version I heard of that song.
Me too.
As a kid. Oh, was it? Right,
Apart from the first version
the
of the song
advert.
that I knew, you know, that I knowingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was an advert for Lucozade with Daley Thompson.
That's right.
The British
Olympian.
decathlon Olympian, champion. It was the Diano version, you know, was the theme of the advert. So cool.
It's weird, though, isn't it? Yeah.
But I was so young, we didn't know who it was or what it was. But you knew it was quite a famous advert.
It was. Daley Thompson was massive.
He was.
In the UK.
Yeah. He was cool. Yeah. So it's a brilliant set list. The thing that really jumps out to me about the set list is how this is the first 4 albums, 5 albums, 5 albums, but the bulk of the material is culled from Peace of Mind and Power Slave. I think it's fair to say that.
I agree. 1, 2,
Aces High, 2 minutes.
First side, definitely. Second side, apart from Number of the Beast, and then we're into the last sort of.
First side and second side, apart from Number of the Beast. Right, side 3 is
Hallowed Be Thy Name, Iron Maiden, Run to the Hills, Running Free. Okay, all from the first 4.
From Number of the Beast on the first album, but then side 4, you know, has 2 from Number of the Beast and has Die With Your Boots On. There's a lot of Peace of Mind on this.
I definitely think it's the greatest hits.
It's certainly at that point, most certainly. I think to try and compile an overall greatest hits after 17 albums, almost mission impossible. That's the thing with this band. That's very true. You know, but
has to be broken up into sections.
You know, there's so many good songs that are not here.
Yeah.
You know, that could have been, but I think they've got this right. They've. How could you improve
as a document that? As a document to give to I haven't talked about the kids, but you know what I mean, in a long time. But those kids that are in the metal now, I'll just give them that. In fact, in America, it's a lot of people's first main album.
Yeah.
Which is, I suppose, supports what you were saying about your theory about why it was done in America and the track list is different and stuff.
And Peace of Mind and Power Slave are them working to break America. That is right. Their tours were heavily focused there. You know, that was the aim of the game then, and it's those 2 albums are the bulk of the set list. A couple of stuff from elsewhere, and it's so strong that you end up with tunes such as like As Good as The Prisoner not being on this, like, you know, from so,
or you're To Tame a Land, although if you have the 95 version, it's the most complete version because it has Murders in the Rue Morgue,
right? Lost for Words.
It has Sanctuary and Lost for Words.
Lost for Words.
Yeah, and also I have heard Dave Murray after Power Slave. This was cut from the record.
Right.
Did a guitar solo.
Right. Okay.
And you have to hunt that out on YouTube.
Right. I need to check that out.
He does full Hendrix.
Have you?
I've listened to it.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
He's done a full Star Spangled Banner.
Right.
It is class.
Right.
It is really good. You can see why they didn't put it on.
Yeah.
And Nick was playing the drums behind him a wee bit, you know.
Right.
It does nearly sound like, you know, he's obviously Eben Hendrix, you know, but it is cool.
Cool. Epic.
Epic.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So if you have the 95 version sitting about somewhere, you know, it would probably be the most complete version that you would have. But
yeah.
It doesn't really, you know, I'm lost for words would be great because I love it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I've got it.
Remark, I love as well. Well,
I have lost for words on a B-side of something.
Yeah.
It might be the live. It might be the single, which is Run to the Hills and Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
Double A. It might be. Again, should have done my homework for that. I do have it.
Don't worry.
It is a B-side on something. Yeah. I'm pretty sure because I knew it was played live and I've heard that. Sanctuary, I know, was on the video.
Talking about B-sides, I'm talking about the World Slavery Tour. Message from Ari.
Yes, Mission from Ari is a. Should we digress and talk about Mission from Ari for a minute?
A wee tiny bit. Just a wee tiny bit.
So Mission from Ari is a B-side off the 2 Minutes to Midnight single.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure you can see this on the history.
Yeah.
Video on.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's just Nico
and Steve
fell out. Harris having a big fight about, you know. It says Nico at a drum solo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was this? Sorry, this is confusing me. So is this not in the World Peace Tour? Because if it was on 2 Minutes to Midnight, that's before the World Slavery Tour.
Oh, okay.
Is that? Am I right?
I'm not. You probably are.
Aren't they? But they talk about it. They talk about it on the as if it's part of the post-slave era.
Yeah.
Because I suppose that's when it's released to the public. Yeah. So I suppose we talk about it now too.
And Bruce secretly recorded it.
Bruce secretly records it. So
secretly whined everybody.
Steve Harris, something goes, one of his monitors goes, or something goes wrong with his bass or something like that. And he tells like a lighting guy to go and tell Nico to extend his drum solo.
Yeah.
And he goes, and of course, Nico thinks that this guy's distracting him and doesn't know what he's saying. Can't hear him in the middle of his drum solo, and he thinks he, made him non-stop his solo. And Steve Harris says, "Didn't sound like it to me, son. I didn't hear, you know." And anyway, the two of them have this big barney about it because Nico wants the guy fired and is going to kill the guy, and Steve's like, "Well, you should apologize to him."
Yeah.
It's my fault. I sent him. And anyway, I think Bruce kind of comes in and sees him arguing. That what happens?
Yeah, he just pushes record
and gets his wee dictaphone or Sony Walkman or whatever.
It's really funny.
And then at the end of it, Steve finds it.
Yeah. I'll not repeat what he said.
No.
We might get taken down.
We might get ripped off YouTube.
So that's the audio, folks. Really, in a 40-minute nutshell. But then we just have to go to the video. Now, it's really, you can't really talk about the track listing because it's identical.
We've talked about the track listing, so it's just about, I suppose, the visual elements
the visuals
of the show.
It's probably Maiden's most bombastic tour.
Yeah. So
set's great. It's old school though.
Yeah.
Still, you know, it's not. There's not too much. Obviously, we're in the days before audio visual things and all. It's very much ropes and, you know, stage craft, the actual craft of creating stage and settings and stuff like that.
Yeah. But much like the original Star Wars films, there's something more realistic about it.
Yeah.
If it's done well, because the props are actually physically real and not, you know, a digital graphic or something like that. It just looks so cool, and I think it looks massive.
Like I even preferred those Eddies to the more modern ones.
Yeah,
I don't know. There is
something about them.
It's not ropey. It's not ropey, but there's something definitely, you know,
authentic.
Yeah,
well, is that the right word?
I suppose, like, you know, I'm just trying to think of the time we saw them on Final Frontier tour. I suppose that wasn't the best Addy, but you know, the one on the Legacy of Peace is pretty cool. But they're very polished. They're very, you know, they're brilliant, but they're very polished. You know, this is different. You know, one particular bit in the video which I think is an absolute cracker. If you fast forward it in the DVD, 46 minutes, dead. Bruce is sitting up high on one of the risers behind Nico,
right?
And Eddie's coming over, and this is one of the things I can see a wee tiny crack in the behind the makeup, behind the facade. And obviously Bruce, you've mentioned his mental health and that, but he just does not want Eddie anywhere near. You can see his, and he's like, get away, and he's not doing it theater. He's like, get away from me, It is funny. It really is. And I don't know why they kept that in.
Because
there's, I think when that thing with Mick Wall, that him and Smiley did a video for Mick Wall, Smiley's Dave Murray, and that's our nickname for him, nobody else's. And he says they did about 7 or 8 cameras, so they could have cut to something else. But I just thought it was quite interesting, one tiny part of the perfect
show, yeah,
and it just gives you sort of like a little insight into how maybe they were feeling by that stage.
Yeah, maybe that's why they kept it in.
Yeah,
to show that bit of tension,
maybe not 85 though. So, but latterly, I suppose it was 2000.
Yeah,
I can't remember when that came out, but 10 years ago was it?
The reissued version.
No, the DVD that we would all have in the house.
But this was the DVD that came out of Life After Death.
Yeah.
It's just
the early days.
It's just the same as the VHS that was out.
Oh, right there. On.
Is it not?
Yeah, okay.
So it is. So
I never owned the VHS.
No, but I'm pretty sure it's the same.
Oh.
You could be right.
Well, they've just maybe left it in.
They just put it on DVD format.
Oversaw it. Maybe it was an
digitized it.
It's like everything.
Turned it into HD. Or no, it's DVD. It's not Blu-ray, so it's not turned into HD. Don't know, guys, about that. Is the VHS the same as the 2008 DVD? I think it.
2000 is that when that came out?
I think so.
My goodness, that's years ago.
Yeah, I think it is. I think the reissued DVD was 2008.
Anyway, videos.
But videos, yeah. So
we got
the set list
behind the Iron Curtain as well.
Yeah.
Oh, set. You don't know about
set. So you've got the giant, golden.
Yeah, pyramid Eddie
sarcophagus. Eddie, would
Sphinx?
that be what you would call it?
Yeah.
Sphinxy sarcophagusy type thing.
Yeah, and the sarcophagus is sort of man-size height on the side. Oh, yeah.
We could actually show
bring out
you
the big guns.
Yeah. So, guys, I thought I actually own a program from the World Slavery Tour. This is not a reprint or anything like that. This is an original. Legit. So
Andy has a phenomenal amount of Maiden memorabilia, which he's been collecting from the mid-90s, early 90s. Including a copy of the Soundhouse tapes?
Yes, I have the Soundhouse tapes. Yeah.
In a box somewhere?
Yes.
Look at the hack of that.
I know, that is terrible. There's some really nice photos and stuff.
Ross Halfin's done a great job of capturing the emotion that Bruce feels before he was on stage in the World Slavery.
Yeah, and I think actually Nico's t-shirt also describes...
Oh, is it the funny farm or something?
The funny farm describes where Bruce feels he should be.
Isn't Dave Murray a fabulous looking fella?
Depends what photo you're talking about.
Oh,
he also looks like he's ready for the funny farm there as well.
Look at the flame in that Les Paul, folks. It is class.
It is cool, and that'll be the Kossoff.
The Kossoff Strat that everybody knows and loves.
So, well, if you don't, that is
that was owned by Paul Kossoff.
You can see that. The guitar's the Free. So this Stratocaster used to belong to the guy, Free, All Right Now, and all that kind of stuff.
He's got the silver pickup rings on there, which he didn't have at the beginning. Lovely. Look at that. Pogan.
Yeah, now a lot of these shots...
spit hanging out of his mouth.
A lot of these shots, actually, guys, are from interestingly, because this is a tour program from World Slavery Tour, a lot of these are from the World Peace Tour.
Oh, right enough, yeah.
So they are. There's no doubt about that. Actually, the first photo in it, the brain is in the background there, and of course that's probably because they had this on sale, ready to go before they'd even played anything. There's a cool R.A.P. Eddie shot there, that famous Rod Halfin photo. That is actually, I think, kind of faked, I believe.
Right, I don't know.
I heard...
This is like Antiques Roadshow.
I heard
awesome
that Halfon actually somehow superimposed the sarcophagus in front of the band or something like that. It's not really is what it looks like, but it looks fantastic.
Oh, that's cool.
As a photo. Yeah, this is all World Peace Tour. Look.
Yeah.
That's World Peace Tour. Yeah. That's Peace of Mind, Eddie. That's in there. Don't know, guys. Just thought this might be a little bit of interest. There's a letter from Adrian just saying,
in all, we should be on tour for about 1 year, after which I would probably check in my favourite hotel, which is run by those nice people in white
coats. God, there sums up the feeling amongst the band.
The prophecy.
About the grueling touring schedule. And yeah, there is actually no photos of the World Slavery Tour.
No.
Because it hadn't actually happened. There's photos of them here. Here's us in Bahamas. Compass Point. Which of course is where they, as they mentioned here, they recorded Peace of Mind. But it is actually very interesting that none of these photos actually have any of there's the Killer Crew.
Yeah, that's cool actually. It's good to see them all.
It's really, really cool to see.
Put pictures to
everyone.
To
who's responsible
absolutely.
for running the whole show. Some of those
guys been interviewed in like the early days, and they're a lot older.
Yeah,
you know.
It's
and even it's at the Dickie Bell show. Doesn't he retire in Flight 666?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shows the camaraderie, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The family feel.
Dave's holiday snaps.
He obviously went to Egypt, check out the pyramids and stuff. So that's really cool. Everyone in the wish to thank. And yeah, there is the whole point of me opening that was to show you a picture of the stage set from the World Slavery Tour. And there you are. There is not a single one in there.
You go.
And that will have been to get it on sale right from show number 1.
Yeah. That's really cool. I never knew you had
cool. So, yeah, there you go.
How much was it?
I cannot remember. I got it in Hector's house, the record collecting shop in Belfast in the 90s.
Well, there was another cool thing happening in Hector's house.
It wasn't cheap.
Hector's house was like a vintage record store we had in Belfast. It's long gone.
Mm-hmm.
Long gone. But it was cool, and it was the first time we got Brave New World.
Yes, that's right.
That's right.
Well,
talk about it in the Brave New World.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Anyway, right. So
the Eddies on the stage.
Yeah.
There's a massive sarcophagus thing. It busts open. The big mummy Eddie comes out, which is just immense looking.
Yeah. Stuff firing out of its eyes.
You've got the Egyptian kind of cats and all that kind of stuff as well.
It is. It's fabulous.
It's brilliant, and obviously the walk on mummified Eddie, and because there's some cool Eddies, there's some cool Derek Riggs work.
I would say
here as well.
This is coming into, you know, the mid-80s was the best. Were the best Eddies. The cover of the album is one of my favorite Eddies.
Phenomenal cover of this album, Live After Death.
Yeah.
So on that, very interestingly, a couple of cool things. There's a lot of little nuggets in that cover.
Oh, there is.
All right.
Yeah.
And the tombstones and stuff.
Yep.
So there's a cross that says "Let It Rip."
Yep.
Do you know why that's there?
Nope.
So Derek Riggs said that that's what you should call the album.
Right. Okay.
Let It Rip. All right. Let It R.I.P. But the band said, nah, we're not calling it that.
Yeah.
But he said, well, I'm gonna jam it into the painting somewhere. But it wasn't this painting.
No.
It was a different cover.
There's a different cover. There was an original cover.
I will, of course, put it up on as a JPEG. The original cover, which Derek Riggs says in his book, the Run for Cover or whatever it is book, the manager,
Rod,
which would be Rod,
the sheriff,
wanted Eddie at a certain face-on kind of way, and apparently Riggs wasn't happy about this, but he painted it anyway.
Yeah.
It looks cool to me. It looks cool.
It doesn't look anywhere near as good as it.
It doesn't look as good as what he did produce.
No.
But what happened was that he did it in oil paints, and anyway, it was sent off, and they photograph it to then put it printed as a record, and they said that the oil paint was too shiny.
Yeah. Maybe a bit of self-sabotage there from Derek.
Well, he says it's bollocks. They just didn't have the patience. But he got a second chance to repaint it because obviously he couldn't use it, and rather than just repaint it the same way, he delivered the iconic cover.
We've got the cityscape in the background,
and he got Eddie at a different angle.
Yeah, the chains, and it is it's
awesome.
Top 3 Eddies for me.
Definitely. Oh,
I think it's fab.
It's absolutely phenomenal, and it's that resurrection kind of.
It is.
You know, which just fits in from the parsley of Eddie. He's back from the dead. It's life after death.
Yeah,
you know,
it really is.
I love the Peace of Mind bolt, which is where the lightning's striking.
The Lovecraft quote on the tombstone.
Yeah. The Here Lies Derek Riggs.
Yeah.
Halo the cat.
Yeah.
It's another cool thing.
You know that Lovecraft quote is mentioned in another very famous song.
Not by
Here's
Maiden.
another wee nugget.
Not by Maiden.
You listen to Master of Puppets by Metallica.
Thing that should not be. Yes, which is based on.
And I wonder, was there a few lads
Cthulhu
got the cover of this album? Because it's just around about the time it came out, they were probably recording it. Maybe.
Yeah. Very
Massive
true.
Maiden fans.
Very true. Could be.
Yeah.
No, they'd already had a song called Call of Cthulhu, so
That's right.
there was already a Lovecraft thing, but very possibly.
Yeah.
Very possibly.
But it's the detail, the intricacy.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
LA is there in the background.
It's just.
Sorry, go ahead.
Right. It's just it really it sells the album.
It sells the album. Yeah. Here Lies Faust. That's another thing. And these covers were inspired by the artist John Martin. If you look up a painting called The Destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, it looks like it, but it doesn't look like it. So the sky and the mountains, kind of the feeling of depth.
Yeah.
If you look at this cover and you look at that painting, and you also look at the Run to the Hills Phantom of the Opera cover, you can see what Riggs means, how he was inspired by John Martin at this time. So it's worth Googling and checking out. You go, yeah. It's by no means a rip-off, but you can see where he's tried to achieve this kind of sweeping epic sense of depth.
Yeah.
By the use of sky and the use of there's a foreground and it's kind of really, really cool looking. There's a couple other things. There's an albatross and there's a pyramid. Is there more?
I don't know. I wish I had a 12. I wish I had the 12 inch instead of the bloody tape.
I got a high res version on the laptop and zoomed up on it.
It's alright.
So then hunted around. It's really,
more
really
time than I have.
Really, really cool to do. I did it. It took me 5 minutes before.
I'm gonna do it when we're finished.
Yeah, but you need to get a real high resolution copy of it.
Zoom in.
So you can zoom in. It doesn't go blocky. But there's some really, really cool stuff. It's an awesome cover. So visuals, then clothes. The band look ridiculous.
Oh, they don't.
Apart from
Dave Murray.
Dave Murray looks ludicrous. Apart from
Dave Murray is channeling his inner Freddy.
He looks like he's wearing a pair of kids' pajamas.
I know he doesn't.
A blue and black stripy
He looks
thing.
class.
No, Adrian Smith looks class. He's the only one.
Cool anyway. He could be wearing a duvet cover and he'd still look cool. He still managed to make it look cool.
He's wearing leathers. He's not wearing spandex. That's why he looks cool. He's got a leather waistcoat on with leather trunks.
Spandex is some idiot. They're in LA, for Christ's sake.
They look ludicrous.
Could have been full Motley Crue, you would.
They almost have. Nico is pretty much wearing some kind of is it a singlet or something? I don't know.
It's like something Ultimate War. No, it's like something Hulk Hogan to be ripping off. And I think it's cool, right? I think it's cool.
Oh, I think they look ludicrous.
I just think they're missing a pair of leg warmer seats, maybe, like, but you know.
The stage looks awesome. Even at this point,
it's of 35 its time, years Andy. Later. It's of its time.
Yes, that is of its time. But the stage looks awesome. But the band, apart from Adrian, who looks cool, the band look ludicrous.
We're going to have to disagree on that one. I think they look awesome.
They do look off their time. But, yeah. They got away with it. The music's so good it doesn't matter. I don't really care what they wear, but there you are. That was one thing I would say about the visuals. So,
okay. Yeah. Well, one postscript as opposed to the review of it. I think we need to mention a bit about Behind the Iron Curtain, just a wee tiny bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so this was a documentary movie made in the when they went to Poland, which I think is really worth a watch too, because it's quite interesting because you see it. It's not as polished. But it is definitely worth a watch because you can see the fact that they went to certain lengths to make sure that they were, there for their fans no matter what nationality. And you're talking really Reaganomics and the Cold War and all that. You know, it was really, They brought the full stage show with them,
They weren't the first band to go there, but they were the first band to bring a full production.
Yeah, I think and the fans, you can see the fans absolutely loved it, and like they were playing football and all, and just things that Maiden do, and it give an insight, I think, into the touring life a bit. A
bit more.
I kind of like in between, two stills, You had the air-conditioned coaches of the future, I suppose.
Yeah.
And you had the, lads sleeping on a tour bus with the windows blaring and the sun blazing, and but it's really worth a watch. I think it's definitely a document that is in metal. You definitely need to watch.
I haven't actually watched it, so
I watched it just in prep for this, But it's cool, and they're playing the wedding.
You've more time than I do.
It was before work was back. I was on my holidays, but anyway,
no, I'll have to check it out.
And them playing the wedding's good, and this
the Polish wedding,
and Mickey Mouse drunk.
Right, so that's really where the you can't play metal with synthesizers comes in, is it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they're having a conversation. Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's funny.
Cool.
It really is. But I suppose as well, then sort of we're summing up a wee bit. This is the beginning of, the purple patch is starting to maybe change slightly. Bruce likens this period as a roller coaster. And this is the thing which really affected him and brought him to make a few sort of uncharacteristic decisions that would affect the band moving forward, I suppose. Would you agree with me if I said this is where the first seed of the parting of the ways maybe was sown at a stage? This and what happens after? There are highs, obviously, but things change after this.
Yeah, yes and no. Yes, it does. I mean, I suppose with any band, this is the album and the tour that I suppose it's the biggest thing that they've done.
Well, the album's a document of the tour. So I wasn't really talking about the tour.
Yeah, the tour. Yeah, it's the biggest. It's the biggest tour that they've done, and this is a band that have already been toured relentlessly
for 5 years.
It's been
constant.
For 5 years, but since Bruce joined, it's 3 years. But it's been a full on.
Yeah.
And there's been 3 albums put out.
Yeah.
Since the guy joined.
Yeah.
So it has been full on. I think it does have an impact on the band.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. I think it does sow the seed for an element of doubt or discontent there or
not only with Bruce, I suppose, but with Adrian too. You could say, possibly.
I don't think with Adrian. No. I don't think with Adrian at this point.
Okay.
I mean, we're only speculating. We don't know them. We're just gossiping.
Church whispers.
My take would be that not with Adrian, but yes with Bruce. Yeah. I think Bruce has said he thought about jacking it in.
Yeah.
So
wanting to go and teach fencing for 6 months, but that's what they technically let him do. If you read what does this book do, which is fine, you know.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this the next episode. I think about his ideas for the next album.
Yeah.
Which were just totally out of sync with what the rest of the band were doing. Whether, if you mentioned Adrian there, if you look at, I mean, Adrian actually.
Well, I'll that's just hold that thought. But...
so I don't think it affects Adrian at all.
Okay, fair enough.
I think he's good for another couple of albums actually. Yeah.
What about scores?
Scores. So I'm gonna let you go first on this.
I don't even know who went first before.
We've lost track. It's been such as the kerfuffle and excitement of St. Jutsu.
And Blaze Bailey's gig.
We've lost our minds.
Yeah, we really have. Right, I was close to giving this a 10.
Right, and that's in the context of we're grading a live album. That's why this episode's been a little bit different for us.
Yeah, it has.
We've it's different than talking about a studio album. It's in some ways more challenging, I suppose.
Yeah, it is, because you can't really go into songs because we've been into them in depth already.
We've already talked about
so
and
that's what we like to do. That's our modus operandi.
You're talking about the songs because the songs are the work of art that the band has, and you're trying to analyze them in that way. But for a live, this is different. It's you're talking about the tour. You're trying to maybe analyze performance a wee bit. And
impact.
Impact
and legacy.
There's one thing, sorry, I didn't mention. Just before we give our scores. And it was that Adrian Smith's guitar is really, really cool and bit of a.
I need to hear Bruce guitar as well.
It's called I hope I'm pronouncing
Lado.
This, Lado Earth. They're a Canadian company, but the luthiers from Croatia originally, and I just thought it was a really cool guitar. I always wondered when I was younger, that's a really cool guitar. It looks like an Explorer, but it's not, and that's looked it up, and that's what it was. And Adrian played this in his tour.
Never even bothered to look it up. But...
Always thought it was really, really cool looking. I just thought he just looks effing cool. And yeah.
Speaking of guitars, I forgot to mention Rock and Rio.
You forgot to mention that. So Bruce's guitar.
Yeah, Bruce's guitar and Rock and Rio, and a guitar malfunction, playing in front of the biggest audience they'd ever played before, in front of a live studio audience, and he takes off his guitar and smacks himself in the face with it, which leads him to.
Does he, or does he run into Dave's guitar?
No. I think it was when he was taking it off. I think I've read two separate things.
Okay.
When he's taken off, he smacked himself in the head. And I was going over to speak to somebody as well about the sound. I couldn't hear him on. I don't know. But anyway, we have a lead singer with loads of blood, and then apparently he went to tidy himself up, and the small wood's in the back going, no, keep going. It looks really cool.
What a day! Get near a camera.
But again, another one of them wee things, you know what I mean? But scores, right? Okay, I would love to give this a 10. I really would. Haven't given a 10 yet, but I'm not going to, because obviously it is the sum of the parts of the albums that came before it.
Yeah. As
a recommendation, though, it would probably be one of the albums I would give to somebody who said, "Tell me about Iron Maiden," because there's no finer document to see what the live experience like without having seen it.
Yeah.
So say you're talking 20 years down the line. We know they'll not be here in 20 years. They'll not be playing 20 years down the line. But that's the thing that will live on.
Yeah.
So as a legacy, 10.
It captures the band.
But as an album and in the spirit of this, I'm going to give it a 9. I'd love to give it a 10, but I'm just going to give it a 9.
Okay.
So 9 out of 9.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
9 out of 10?
Yeah, 9 out of 10.
Okay. It is difficult to, I agree with you.
It is hard.
It's difficult to grade this because it's a live album. It's like...
It's the greatest of greatest hits. That's kind of the thing. It's like...
Yeah.
It's class. Like.
I would kind of agree with what you're saying in a way. If this was... we are grading live albums... if this was a live album podcast that we were doing, you'd probably be giving it'd be hard not to give this a 10,
Yeah.
because as a live album,
Absolutely.
how could it be any better?
Yeah.
But what our show is, it's not a live album podcast, it's an Iron Maiden album podcast or an Iron Maiden podcast. Now, if I want to listen to Iron Maiden, do you always want to listen to a live album? No, not always.
No.
They have a lot of live albums, and I do like listening. I love listening to them live.
Yeah.
But I prefer the studio document stuff. Proper record is hard. So I give this an 8.5.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Which is a very strong. It's their best live album.
Oh,
They've released some very good live albums.
They have indeed.
But this is my favourite Iron Maiden live album. And it's the one that I would probably listen to the most out of their live recordings.
That's fair. So that's an Ed Factor score of...
You give it 9.
I give it 9.
I give it 8.5, so that'll be 8.75.
That would be an 8.75. We're getting very technical.
Aren't we?
8 3/4.
8.75 out of 10 for this. Yeah, we'll have to see whether we rate. I suppose we probably will. All their other live albums. There's a lot of live albums there.
Yeah, there are a few.
Yeah.
There are a few.
So there are. But I suppose we've done Live After Death. We couldn't not do Live After Death.
No, you could not.
So I suppose we probably will have to do the others. But
yeah,
that's for another time.
And on that note,
we will see you next time.
Please like and subscribe and follow and give us a shout. Let us know where you're listening or where you are watching.
Where you're from. We've had great support. If you're still listening, thank you. We've had a message from Gibraltar this morning.
Yeah,
so
we really appreciate everything
that
you guys say, because it is great.
Really glad you're enjoying it. And tune in next week.
Yep.
For Somewhere in Time.
Oh yeah!
I know this guy's excited about it. Hope you are too. And up the irons. Woohoo!
Take care.
Bye.